Hello, welcome to another episode of getting the teleprinter up and running. Apologies for my stupid error on the last video where I managed to record an assortment of segments of it with time-lapse rather than normal, so we missed all of the audio and you got a really fast version of us doing a load of work on it. But then luckily Paul did a bit of extra stuff after we thought we'd finished doing all the video. Where he made a couple of discoveries and he knows how to operate the camera properly. So we got that all kind of in the can. Today we are going to be doing a bit more kind of testing of the interface electronics, and the coffee's ready, as that ding of the Acker's bell indicates. So we're going to be getting some coffee and then looking at the interface electronics to see, just kind of verify that that's kind of coming together now, but there's a couple of bits we want to just check out with that. And then on the teleprinter itself, Paul was checking that stuff was getting kind of clocked in, and it seemed to be getting clocked in correctly, but we were getting the wrong characters. Like it seemed to be kind of an off by one error with the was it R and Y that you'd...
Yeah, that's right. R and Y were sent, and S and Z were interpreted,
right,
printed, and it also inserted a new it line fed the paper on each, and it also didn't advance.
Yeah, it's not doing the kind of moving the carriage along,
yeah,
and it's doing a line feed when it shouldn't. So yeah, that's one thing, is to kind of work out what's wrong with the carriage. So that's probably there's some levers around the back that interface between the kind of main bit of the teleprinter and the carriage mechanisms. So we can have a look at those and do a bit more looking at the codes getting sent in and seeing if they're kind of clocked on. Maybe this just needs rotating a little bit, like he says overly optimistically. But yeah, that's today's tasks.
okay.
Right, we've made some progress, I think. Well, as you can see, we've dismantled bits, the indicator of progress. So Paul had tried sending lots of different characters through, and we seem to be fairly consistently getting kind of an off by one in the letters. I mean, what we had when we sent an A, we got a K, didn't we? So the A was a weird one. So that didn't just go to the next letter, but a B gave us a C, and a C gave us a D, did it?
Yeah, there was just the odd few that were decoded incorrectly. Well, decoded unpredictably.
Yeah. Mostly it seems to be off by one. So we were worked out that it's clocking the correct things into the when the data is coming in, these pins get pushed in and out. So we were clocking, they're all getting clocked in correctly. We've then kind of been tracing stuff through. When we clock in an N, like it definitely picks the correct bell crank. That's what all of these things are called. The clock stuff gets in and that gets pushed, and you can see that this one at the top, which is the N bell crank, is dropped down very slightly. So that's, let me get a bit more light on it. So this bell crank is the N one, which has been correctly chosen, and then this clutch will spin round and like this plate kind of catches against it. So basically data gets clocked in, that moves some rings, which makes
camera's just gone off.
The correct, yeah, that's all right. It's just the screen has gone off. The camera will still be running. So the correct one, they get clocked in. That moves some rings inside this combination head. Then when all the bell cranks get pushed against it, the correct one gets chosen, which means that it will drop down. We'd clocked in an N on this to do that. and then this clutch assembly spins round, which I don't know if it's going to spin. Yeah, you can sort of see it spins round and it stops because one of the the correct one will drop down and it'll hit that when it spins round, which means that it stops the type head at what should be the correct letter, but mostly it's the O that we've got rather than the N, which is just that bit further on. And we can, like, there's a bit of play in this, and we can kind of move it across a bit, which would then get us to the figure, because these are all letters, figure, letter, figure, letter, figure, like all the way around. So yeah, we think we're going to dismantle some of this and just check. I mean, there does seem to be a bit of play back and forth, which I wasn't happy with, particularly when I was reassembling it, but there didn't seem to be able to get a better thing of that. So that's the next step. Let's dismantle this bit and investigate further. Well, today so far has been just scratching our heads with it in this sort of a state, really, isn't it? We've had the type head on and off a couple of times. We've dismantled this kind of clutch mechanism a few times as well. There's just a screw here that pops that off. Check that the spring is the correct way around, which it was. And one thing that we've been kind of, if I get a bit more illumination on all of this bit, like this assembly here is what we've been kind of focusing on. So these two lugs are the kind of what the type head keys onto. So that will govern the position of the type head. And when it's clicking, like there's these two bits. Let me see if I can get it to move. Move it too far. Let's just wind it on. Clock in something. So there's two parts to this clutch, and they kind of are sprung to kind of fasten, to close together. And this kind of black bit that's now going over the silver bit was mostly kind of butting up against it, and sometimes it was going behind it. Now we think that maybe it should be always going in front of it. We've adjusted this a bit. We've set the spring as the manual says, which basically is just, we've bent it with some pliers, carefully though, so that now hopefully it will go past. And basically it going past, if it goes all the way past, then the type head lines up with the character that we want it to type. So we're hoping that will mean, getting that to consistently come in front of the silver part will mean that it consistently gets far enough over. And I think there's kind of a centrifugal clutch in it, which means that we're going to have the motor running to get it to go fast enough to get it to come round there. So we shall reassemble it and stick the motor on and see if our hypothesis is correct.
Well, we've also validated the levers, I forgot what they're called now, within the rear mechanism, so within this part.
All the bell cranks, mean all of these.
That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
So we've been through and cross-checked and verified by manually putting in on the bits down there, putting in different codes and then running it through. We've validated that the pins, that the bell cranks are in the right place for each letter. Which
is good. Shows that I reassembled it correctly. Because for a little while we were like, maybe all of those bell cranks should just be like 2 positions further over.
Which would not have been a small job.
Yeah, that would have been very nasty dismantling of everything again. But yeah, maybe we've only had to partially dismantle it to get it to work. So let's, next step is to find out. Okay, well we've got the printer reassembled so that we can see if the centrifugal clutch is going to get far enough to get us the letters that we want. And either way, this is probably the last action of the day. So we figured we'd film it live, and you can see how well or not things go. So, what's our plan of attack, Paul?
Power it up and send some letters from the laptop.
Okay.
So ready?
So that's it all powered up. What letter are we going to send first?
Send sequence. Well, we'll send A first anyway. So let's start with A. D.
Last
But
lesson.
that'll be whatever was buffered in
That's
it
right.
beforehand.
Which is
So,
our world.
Now repeat send another A.
Okay.
So it hasn't fixed anything then.
B.
Okay.
That should have been the A from previous. When you send the C, it should be B.
C.
D.
W.
B.
F. G. Nothing. I. A. Nothing. L. M. Actually, full stop at N. O. P. U. R. S. T. U. V. D. E. Y. Z.
The problem is, it printed the very letters that I was sending. So that means now does that mean it's -1 instead of +1? It's the other way around.
Sorry?
So every letter I sent, it sent it on when I sent it should have buffered it, but it didn't buffer it, it just printed the letter that I sent when I went through the sequence of alphabet.
But is that not that it was off?
Off the other way around, yeah.
Oh, what, you mean you've gone the other way?
Yeah.
No!
Try number.
Number one coming now.
2 presses but nothing.
Number 2, which should print the previous one.
R. E.
So it hasn't
Yeah.
switched to
U.
figures where we've asked it to.
No. That can have. That's passed, but not passed the full amount.
Yeah, it's sort of so when I was, let me zoom out, we need to, yeah, you need to not have your fingers in the way, but it seems to kind of bounce past it when it does it. I don't know if anybody will be able to see, but if you watch when a letter gets sent, then it seems to kind of, yeah, bounce over it. You probably want something kind of near the top, so N or...
And I'm going to do N, we'll do letters first.
Yeah, okay.
N. I'll do another N.
It seems it kind of goes past and then settles back a bit. So I mean, it is coming on the side that we wanted. It's hard to know if that's working correctly or not. But like it's, yeah, potentially. Is that like that's super weird if we have managed to go too far, because I can't really see how that would happen because it didn't.
J. J. J.
Should all be spaces.
J.
All of these spaces should be spaces.
So what if you send some A's, because they were coming through as K's before, weren't they?
Try A's again.
Yeah.
Should I send us?
Like a couple of A's, and we should just get at least a run of K's, or whatever we get a run of will be
K, 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 and a K, and a K.
So that's kind of like we haven't really made any progress, because that's what it was doing at the start of the day, and that's what it's doing at the end of the day. Yeah. Not sure what our next plan of attack is, other than scratching our heads a bit more and like sleeping on it. So yeah, tune in a fortnight if you want to see more of us scratching our heads and attempting to have a breakthrough to get this to print what we want. Or we'll just claim that we've got a code word set into it, so it's always telling you like two, you know, different positions out on a code wheel or something. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what we can come up with. Anyway, thanks for watching.